Hello, I'm in season, and I'll be going through one of my new visual guides. Not really a guide, more like a reference sheet of sorts. I want to get in the habit of doing this. I'm just gonna wing it. I don't really have anything planned. I've been thinking about, I've been working on this for like 8 hours today. So I hope that some of that 8 hours stuck. So the general idea is to create a reference sheet or a visual that will help players understand upgrade mechanics, plus stats, and understand how each upgrade mechanic interacts with each other. May that be signature item, furniture, engraves, ascension, hero level. The goal is to create a sheet where everything is readily available within eyeshot, and one can start to piece together how all these mechanics work. Also, there's a great bit that we don't understand as a community or within my analytics community, and so this is sort of a work in progress and sort of a call to arms of sorts to the community that, hey, we don't really actually know how what most of these stats do or their relative value. And this becomes pretty complicated when we have new mechanics, building on top of our pre-existing mechanics. So this all sort of comes from this base stat blog that I did. I was going to do a few part series. And I started realizing that, even with this explanation, it was pretty complicated for players to grasp what is going on. So, there's two main things I really want you to get out of this if you are watching. Fingers crossed that you are watching. First thing is that there are two relevant stat calculations, okay? The base stats and then the total stats. Now, you don't even have to look at these formulas right now, but the general idea is to show that hero level stats and ascension coefficient basically lays the foundation for all upgrade mechanics, all stats. May that be battle stats, ability stats, plus stats from signature item, plus stats from Duratree, plus stats from your armor, plus stats from furniture. All of that starts with base stats. So if you don't understand or know what goes into base stats, it can be pretty complicated to have any idea the relative value of your upgrade mechanics. Okay. Right? So I'm going to just go in. Well, okay. Yeah, I'm going to go into this briefly. Right? Okay. Now, the two most important variables in this equation, the stats times coefficient plus flat, times coefficient ascended plus flat. The two most important variables are just the stat crystal. So this means your hero stats or your hero level stats. Okay. So let me give you an example, right? This is my account. When I go to the resonating crystal, right? I'm level 509. Okay. And there is a specific amount of stats that go with level 509. So let's go check it out. I host all of the data that we have on my website, trying to give back to the people who have given me data in the past. Okay. So we're going to go to 509. I'm not going to calculate all this in real time, but I want you to see what's going on here. Okay. So at 509, here, the far column is where the stats that you're getting. Okay. So this far column are all just the baseline amount of stats that you will get from level 509. Now, here's the tricky part. Every single hero has a different hero coefficient or stat coefficient that influences the amount of hero level stats that they get, okay? But we're going to ignore that. That's actually not even really important for this whole thing. And it's actually kind of negligible until you start getting into the weeds, until you're really trying to have pinpoint accuracy, right? That this coefficient hero, that's the hero stat coefficient that tells you how much of each of these stats you get, plus HP, plus attack, plus arm. Each hero has a HP stat coefficient, attack coefficient, and armor coefficient. This MR is magic resistance, which is exactly the same as armor. I should just destroy this column. Okay. This flat hero rank, we're just going to ignore it completely. Okay. And then this coefficient ascended. Okay. So let's ignore the coefficient hero and flat. Okay. And we're just looking at the baseline stats that your hero level allots you. Okay. And that is multiplied by the coefficient, the ascension coefficient. Okay. Now that's where this visual comes into play. Okay. This first section has every single ascension and the ascension coefficient, right? So ascension is extremely important to the entire game, to scaling your hero. Okay, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Because it modifies your base stats, okay? Nothing else in the game modifies your base stats except, some very, very old 2-year-old deprecated mechanics that no longer do essentially anything, right? And if you increase the magnitude of your base stats, that scales and modifies every other upgrade mechanic in the game, okay? So at E, Epic Plus, okay, 1.52 is the coefficient, and then from Epic Plus, or Epic to Epic Plus, we get 1.75, and that's a net increase of 15% between these two coefficients. It's only comparing these two coefficients. So it goes up another 15% up to Legendary, and another 15% up to Legendary Plus, and then to Mythic, it goes up 7%. And then to Mythic Plus, it goes up 7%. Okay, and then from Mythic Plus, it goes up 15% to Ascended. Okay? Now, this run of Ascension is the bulk of your stat gain. Okay? But that doesn't mean you don't increase your base stats or the magnitude of your total stats significantly from adding stars. It increases by 3% each time as you increase stars, but that will compound or ripple through every other upgrade mechanic, right? So the more you increase this base stat mechanic, the more you are leveraging, the more value you are getting out of your signature item, furniture item, engraved armor, elder tree, right? And that sounds like a great deal. And the truth is, it is a great deal, right? That's why you are seeing this fad of, RC cramming or, hero level rushing. And that's why there is a bit of a stat discrepancy between 5-star ascended faction heroes and ascended celestials, and also why there is a bit of discrepancy between celestials and hypogens, because the cost of attaining a celestial or hypogen is quite a bit higher than achieving or acquiring a faction hero, right? So I did not know, I didn't know this for the longest time. I had to figure this out on my own. Digging around in places which probably ought not be digging, but alas, I did figure it out. I actually created a stat calculator that determined hero stats to the digit, the single digit. And the only way you can do that is if you understand all these mechanics. So it took a long time to figure this type of stuff out. But the point is that, let's say you have a plus 30 SI or, 99 furniture, E60 engrave, whatever, like max armor. How can I get more out of those upgrade mechanics? Well, you can increase your hero level and you can increase your ascension, because that modifies base stats, and all of those upgrade mechanics are leverage off of those base stats. Okay, so that's what all these coefficients are, and it's not super pretty right now. Hopefully, in the future I can make it a lot more clear, and I can improve upon this design. But I think this is a good start to get us in the right direction. Okay, now the next section is I really wanted to target Mythic, Ascended, and then Ascension plus 1 star, okay? Because each one of those Ascension tiers unlocks a new upgrade mechanic, okay? Signature item, furniture, and engrave, okay? And this is a progression, okay? Lilith has designed the game in a way that it is optimal or maximal to invest in signature items before furniture, furniture before engraves, and engraves last. Okay? No really bias out of there. But the thing is if and the cost to acquire these upgrade mechanics is sort of a cascading value, decreasing in value as you go up in Ascension. Now, why is this? Well, if the value is the same or the value is better, then when a new mechanic gets released, the value of your previous investments will decrease if it is higher, essentially, right? The point is that you want to maintain the value of your investments. If we get progressively stronger and stronger upgrade mechanics, then that means that the past upgrade mechanics will begin to go out of date, or better said, the new upgrade mechanics will become more competitive and you'll want to spend on those opposed to your previous investment. Now, the reason why Lilith doesn't want to do that is because it is a show of trust, or a show of, let's say, I think trust might be the best word. But if Lilith continues to maintain the value of your investments patch after patch, you have more confidence in Lilith to release content that will maintain value, okay? And if it wasn't designed this way, then Lilith would have actually, we would just be in pure chaos. I don't really want to speculate, but, I don't think that these gacha games can have longevity, when there is instability like that. But I won't go too deep into that. So anyway, right now, it's very, very, very simple and minimal. The cost of each benchmark, plus 10, 220 silver emblems, 240 gold emblems for plus 20, 300 red emblems for plus 30, and so on. Really, nothing is said about furniture, but in the future, there's tons of things to go on about furniture. The difference between legendary furniture and mythic furniture, and then, you know, relative value of each plus stat increase for between heroes, so on and so forth. But the goal is just to keep this all simple. Engravings are here with just the cost at each benchmark. So between, you know, from 30 to 60, it's 4,500 cores, you know, and so on. I don't want to get too much into the minutia, but this is just how you read it. This next section is just to put out armor and elder tree, just to lay a foundation of, you know, the future and what mechanics are a part of this total stat calculation and how they all work in concert. So, you know, armor is kind of independent from ascension, more or less, and so is elder tree. Elder tree, you get flat stats based on the base of your tree, which you can increase the level by acquiring more heroes, and the class level can be increased by spending Twisted Essence. Twisted Essence is a mechanic that is very similar to engravings now, I would say, or rather, that's probably not the right equivalence, but you can attain a lot more Twisted Essence now than you could when it was first released. It's really hard to attain. Okay, now we get back to this formula. So the base stats is basically the hero level stats times the ascension coefficient. That is what you need to know to understand base stats, okay? And all of the upgrade mechanics are scaled off of this base stat. So it multiplies through with flat stats added to the end. Okay, nothing too exciting here. Honestly, that is all I wanted to get to with this video. This is super simple stuff, right? And yet I don't feel like much of the community knows this, myself included. I didn't know for a very long period of time, but I also think that it's very important to start looking at stats and understanding their effect on other mechanics, as well as their value with in and out of battle, and hopefully in the future we can better understand these stats and mechanics and how they work in concert.